welcome to part 2. Well, I'm planning to put everything else on hold to churn this one out as fast as possible because I really want to get this over and done with. And I want to take advantage of my burning hatred of this right now. I really don't want to have to keep dealing with this in a few months' time when I'm not angry anymore, just worn out. So, let's get on, shall we? Oh, I forgot about this in the last post, but, remember Andrew Lay, that guy in the second paragraph? One of our newest federal members of parliament? He looked like this. Wow. Yeah, that's a trustworthy face, alright. Seriously, this guy's smile disturbs me. He's like the exact sort of person who'd send you skinned animal corpses as gifts of love. Right, so, let's move on before I creep myself out. We are less likely to belong to organizations from unions and political parties to the Country Women's Association. First of all, a deal that's a very poor word choice there. You don't bring in vague concepts like belonging because it's entirely possible to be a member of a political party and yet not belong there. So we have no way to verify your claim. Wait, I see what you did there. Well, let's do this in order, shall we? Firstly, unions. It is true that union membership has declined since the 80s. However, since 2008, a steady rise in numbers have begun, a fact which you seem to have failed to take into consideration. And even if we assume that the rise in membership is not significant enough to refute your argument, the fact still remains that a drop in union membership has nothing to do with the internet. It is a combination of government policies which allow individual workers more bargaining power, making strikes unnecessary, a more competitive market which makes management fight harder for deunionization, and a growing inequality in the distribution of income, which creates strife within the unions. In the 3 reasons I gave, which are the most commonly cited ones, one has to do with politics, 2 to do with economics, and absolutely none with what you're supposed to be talking about. How technology, and more specifically the internet, makes us less connected. And really, I fail to see how less unions would mean less connections anyways, since aren't unions created to enable workers to fight their employers better? So wouldn't the lack of unions mean that employer-employee relationship has improved in recent years to the point where we no longer need unions? Secondly, political parties. I'd just like to say that parties are not required to release the number of their members to the public, and almost all of them refuse to do so, so there is absolutely no way she could have confirmed her claim that political membership has declined. But assuming that she is correct, then guess what? She can't blame that on the internet either. In the past, parties needed a lot of members because they were a valuable source of advertisement and were often needed to organize elections. They were also a central source of funding. Nowadays, however, advertisement is mostly done online and through television, and elections are becoming more and more digitalized too, and political parties rely far more on corporate and private funding. Which means, yeah, the political parties didn't need members anymore, and that is why membership declined. Oh yeah, your beloved MP, Andrew Lay, is a part of the reason people are becoming disconnected. Also, just because people aren't official members of a party doesn't mean they're not getting involved in politics. Look around on the internet. I can see 5 Facebook groups devoted to the Labour Party of Australia alone, and most of them have over 10,000 likes. Oh wait, my bad. Facebook is evil and never creates any sense of a connection in people at all. How stupid of me. And, well, I'll talk about the country's Women's Association later because I want to save that. I want to save that till you see what she says later. But I'll just say that the main purpose of that organization is doing social justice work. And membership of social justice organizations has actually risen quite a bit in recent years, and as people became more aware. So just because one charity organization has fallen doesn't mean you can jump out and say everyone is a heartless bastard. We are less likely to participate in civic duties, such as casting a valid vote. Okay, as much as people whine about how people aren't voting properly, the number of informal votes is actually quite small, making up only 4.75% of all the votes. And I must say, if this is a problem, then guess again who caused it? Oh yeah, politicians! Politicians like Nick Minchin, who vocally argued against compulsory voting. Oh, and Mark Latham too. He was in the same political party as Andrew Leigh, and he declared that voting shouldn't be compulsory. See, this is why you can't use politicians as your sources. We're less likely to vote or volunteer. Okay, how did you fail to notice that social justice is becoming a more and more important part of the school curriculum, even becoming mandatory in some schools? How the hell can we be less likely to volunteer when volunteering is compulsory now when it wasn't before? We are less likely to be part of a church community. That's not exactly a recent problem, dear. Secularism has existed for far longer than the internet. I fail to see how you can blame this on it. And it's been on the rise since World War II. There's an entire school topic based on secularism if you do religious studies. Google this. It's not that hard to find accurate information. We're less likely to be part of a church community or to play sport. Adil, do you even live in Australia? How come you don't know that there is a bloody federal legislation that says all students have to participate in at least 2 hours of intense exercise a week? Seriously, where are you getting these conclusions from? Also, see what I mean by not a single statistical citation? She lists a bunch of claims and does not provide us with a single concrete number. Nothing is ever quantified. She just expects us to take her word for it, which I'm not going to do, especially when what she's saying is so obviously untrue. And according to the statistics only a professor of economics can mine. Right. So a politician comes to you with highly unlikely data that he claims only he can produce, and you immediately believe him? You didn't even bother fact-checking at all because, you weren't a professor of economics, so how on earth can you hope to find whether people are volunteering more nowadays? And, are you ever going to show us this statistic? Because I would kind of be grateful for that. Really, a few hard numbers would be a lot more convincing than any of your waffling. We have on average fewer friends. And how do you define friends? You can't use vague terms like this without telling us what you mean by it. Do my classmates automatically count as my friends even though I don't talk to them that much? At what stage does your relationship officially become friendship? When you know each other's names? When you participate in a common hobby together? When you've told each other all your secrets? How do you define this? And even fewer connections with our neighbors than we used to. What do you mean, fewer connections? What connections? Will you define anything, woman? How can I argue against you when I have no freaking clue what you're talking about? Wait. Anyways, online friendships are no real substitute, he argues. Wow. Just wow. You know what? I'm not going to even bother with that. All of you watching this video know someone on the internet who you consider an honest friend. And this woman just flipped her finger at you and declared your friendship fake and inferior. I don't think you need me to tell you how this is insulting on an unprecedented level. Although young people who seem in constant touch with friends through one device or another would disagree. Oh, So you don't define online friendships as people who've only met on the internet. Oh no, you define it as any sort of relationship that involves electronics. Yeah, guys, when you text your friends, you're reducing the value of your relationship. No matter what the circumstances, you should always communicate with your friends face to face because that is the only form of communication that exists. You can't possibly connect with anyone over the phone or Skype. And considering that most of my friends are in another country, well, I guess I'll just have to screw myself. Obviously, I have no friends.